Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT news and plenty going on right now. Some roster rumours circling around, but also with the meta changing very soon indeed for next week of the VCT. Do the new agent changes significantly favour the North American playstyle? Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thanks for the great support these last several days. This firstly from the guards. They're currently 4-0 in the VCT. Now, well, Cloud9 are going to be their opposition if they actually want to make it all the way to 5-0. We'll discuss that here in a few minutes time. Before we get there, I wanted to mention this from George Geddes. Ec1s has practiced indeed with Gen.G. We kind of talked about the rumours that this was going on a few days ago now, but yeah, potentially Ec1s to Gen.G. Of course, look, we know he's back in Europe right now, and Gen.G are a North American team, so what exactly is going on there? Also to mention that Mike's is now as a trial with the coach of a crew, so you guys remember Mike's HD, right, who was well, formerly of Envy, like on Envy for a brief period of time, then some weird stuff happened where like they didn't get a contract to him, some weird stuff going on there. But well, as you can see in this article, it is explained that yes, he's in Europe right now, but he's been playing from Europe alongside the current IGL of Gen.G. It's kind of interesting what they want to do about this, but yeah, definitely, hopefully some opportunities for Ec1s. Would be cool to see him back in the North American region, to be honest, just so, well, he gets a chance at some point or another to play up against, well, play up against 100 Thieves, and try and prove that whatever lineup he creates over time is better than the one that they dropped him from. Let's dive into this meta then. So a lot of discussion on this the last couple of days, the fact that, okay, what's going on with all the controllers? Astra's getting nerfed, Viper's getting nerfed quite significantly. We've got Brimstone, is he going to go into the meta, right? Where's Omen sitting at, right? And a lot of these agents, it does seem like it leans the way of playing a very fast and aggressive playstyle. That's what a lot have been discussing the last few days. Even Nats actually says it for Gambit yesterday. I played a few games on the new Viper. Not sure, I guess it's going to be super hard right now to play like previous, maybe even impossible. Saying that like Viper's nowhere near as good as she once was, and therefore, okay, what's going to happen with this meta going forwards? Tarek's been talking about it as well, and there was some discussion on stream a couple of days ago that, okay, well, with this new meta coming into play, of course not this week in the VCT, but from next weekend, we shall see all these updates come through. The icebox changes, all the ones with the new agents, right, and the way the controllers look now compared to how they used to look, and well, it seems like a lot of people are suggesting it's going to create a much more fast, aggressive, rush style, well, play style, like there was kind of, well, last year sometime when Sentinels and a lot of the North American teams were kind of dominating in a way that generally favors them. So, well, will this come to fruition?
What do you think about the new meta? Are you having fun with it?
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I love playing Brim now with the stimmies. He's so crazy.
It's so fun.
I think mostly, generally, probably people like the changes.
Yeah.
How well set up the guard was, but now we have.
I think we're jumping the gun spectator-wise if we think that the meta is not going to be as fun to watch.
Pretty cool to see them,
I feel like it's going to be more like aggressive. It suits a more aggressive style.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for NA.
exactly. Like this meta, it's fun to watch how like you break utility and pull rotates, but I think the older meta, which is I like the new meta, I feel is kind of like a bit the older too, is just how you play exits on retakes. That's pretty fun to watch as well.
EG really do need to step up defensively in rounds like this. As well as when we eventually...
Even Curry says it as well right from the T1 side. Did the calculations and Sentinels are going to be #1 at world in this meta, everyone else competing for second GGs. dapr even from Sentinel says we've been biding our time for another rush meta, everyone clowned us for not changing our ways. That's the thing, there was a lot of talk about this lately, that okay, in the meta as it was, Sentinels seem to be falling behind to some degree, like they're not quite as innovative as other teams, TenZ is always on the jet, all of this type of stuff, but you know, maybe the way this, well, meta is going to progress going forwards, it kind of, well, maybe Sentinels will come back to kind of their old self, and in fairness, all this kind of aggro stuff does generally favor the way the North American teams like to play the game. Like they'll happily fly around the corner and take an ego chal, right? Whereas the European teams generally slightly more disciplined. They play a little bit more carefully, and of course that will have worked out at Champions. But maybe the meta is going to shift once again, right? With these new updates, we will see how it transpires in just a few days' time. But let's talk about the games that went down in the VCT yesterday. BBL versus Supermassive Blaze. BBL take this series 2-0. There was another series as well in the European side. Ascend versus G2. Of course, that Mixwell is back in G2 because Kelox is out there. He left to go to Heretics, and then Mixwell's back in the team. Lost 1-2 against Ascend. Ascend really a must-needed victory here, right? Because their bracket situation was not looking so good. I think they were 1-1 or 2-1 or something. Like it wasn't ideal for them, but they win this series 2-1, take down G2, of course the current reigning world champions. cNed, no surprise, has a massive series, especially on the jet in this game too here on the Ascent 23 and 15. Even game 1 as well, he had a pretty solid start as well on the Sage. Nuki was ridiculous in this game, won 13-7 to Ascend, but yeah, the rest of the series does not go their way at all. And mixwell, to be fair to him, had a pretty decent series here, right? Because we saw that in the initial closed qualifier when he had a very difficult time. Like, they basically just benched him straight up from the team because he was not as good on the Jets as keloqz proved to be. Whether he can continue that trend in the long run, that does remain to be seen. Let's talk about the North American side, because as Vanity says from Cloud9, every time I load into babybay, aged 3 months. They played babybay in this series, but it does go in their favor in the end. So this is, first of all, a pretty ridiculous clip here from zapr. I mean, look at this straight transfer here with the Phantom. 1, 2, 3. Like, yeah, no problem at all. Cloud9 win this game won it pretty comfortably. But, yeah, they play on Haven right here. Playing up against Luminosity Gaming, of course, like, expected to win this series. At this point, Guard 4-0 already in Cloud9's group. They needed to get the job done here if they wanted to match them and get that #1 seed. Because I imagine the seeding is going to be relatively important when it comes to actually, well, playing at the playoffs, right? And getting good seeding there, playing up against good opposition, or at least, well, worse opposition than you could be playing against. Get a good bracket for yourself, for example. And, I mean, yeah, Cloud9 trying to do exactly that. They will play the Guard next weekend. So that was the game 1. Game 2 as well, here goes to Binds. Cloud9 win this one. It was not easy by any means. Like, I mean, it goes 12-10 at one point. And as, well, Vanity points out, it's, well, when it's 12-10 with Cloud9 in it, it's guaranteed to go all the way to an overtime, which is, of course, exactly what happens on this game 2 on Binds. Let's go back to have a look at the overview, actually. Game 1 was comfortable, 13-3 in favor of Cloud9. Game 2 goes all the way to an overtime, 15-13 in the end in their favor. And yeah, that's job done, at least with a nice series on the whole. The scoreboard certainly paints a difficult picture for Luminosity Gaming, but even after a difficult series here, LG still find themselves in a pretty good spot to make it all the way through to playoffs, as we will look at here in a second. The second series, this is a massive one. The Knights versus NRG. So NRG currently winless rights going into the series. Knights got a massive win against Rise very recently. So Rise were already hoping that NRG would win this one, at which point Rise would then have the advantage again because Knights would lose this series. That's not how it goes at all. Some great plays here, honestly, from all players on all parts. And again, the Dephh come through from the Pittsburgh Knights. They win this series in the end. It goes 2-1. Very close fought affair. Son was going off on the main stage with the Sage in the game too. But yeah, here we go to Haven, where Knights end up closing this one out. I mean, some incredible rounds and some incredible performances from all involved. And as Hayes says, GG's Knights lost 1-2. I'll be taking some time off after the next week's match to evaluate my future. Sorry to everyone who expected more from us. That's the thing. Like, people were kind of, well, suppressed in prize, maybe, that they even qualified right here for challenges. Then they've got in right and they've done okay. Like, they've looked decent in some series, but they've lost all of them right. And Hayes, the IGL, is like, okay, taking time to evaluate my future. That's quite interesting. Whether he's thinking about, retiring right, getting out of there, or, whether there's other discussions in the team as to whether they want to make some sort of move. Because if they don't make it to playoffs, which they're not going to at this point, then, I mean, still, maybe something has to change at some point to run out there with this lineup. 13-8 was the game 2. On the whole, Knights were probably just the better team here in this series, right? I mean, Ban had a great series, Dephh had a great series as well. I mean, the Breeze went 13-6 in their favor. Bone was 13-8 for NRG, as I say, so I'm at a pretty good map right here. And then Haven 13-5 on the final game. Loads of defensive rounds won in a row towards the end of that half. A 7-5 half in favor of the Knights first time around. That's going to be very difficult to overturn. And the implications of this are pretty big indeed, because as Purist says, Knights have now qualified to the playoffs with that victory. Now, this leaves Rise, of course, in a very tough spot. They honestly, Rise coming in, especially when they beat Optic in that first series and played incredibly well. It felt like Rise, okay, they kind of picked up where they left off, right, from the last chance qualifier last year, where they almost made it to champions. They lost to Cloud9 in the finals there for the final spot that was available. But, I mean, yeah, still now Rise find themselves back in challenges. Looked like they were going to kind of continue from that point, but now they've fallen off quite significantly these last few games, and now they leave themselves in a point where it's very difficult for them to actually qualify. As Purist points out, I believe the only way Rise can make playoffs now is if they win their next game and Optic lose their remaining 2 matches, which put both teams at 2-3, and Rise hold that tiebreaker. So we talked about yesterday how the tiebreakers exactly work in these situations. The way it works, to my understanding, is that if there's 2 teams tied against each other, it's actually decided by head-to-head, which makes way more sense, right, than doing it by map counts. But for example, if Rise do win their next series, Optic lose their next 2, which is possible, but not incredibly likely, then Rise will have the tiebreaker advantage over Optic in that scenario. Outside of that, NRG are already out of there. Knights now with 2 wins over big opposition, they're now guaranteed to go through as well. So the only possibility, I believe, here is that Rise and Optic Gaming swap places. So Optic just have to win 1 series and get the job done somewhere or other to get it all the way through, and this Group B will probably look as it does right now going into the playoffs. Now, well, for Group A side, the Guard and Cloud9, they're the clear number 1 and number 2 teams in this group. The round 4 and against is very similar indeed. We shall see who comes out on top when they play each other next week, but of course there's still games coming up later today, and these are absolutely immense games for the implications for the bracket, especially in the Group A side. Of course, look, if Optic beat version 1, they guarantee themselves to get all the way through, but version 1 right now topping that group, still undefeated. 100 Thieves versus Xset though. This is an absolute must-win for 100 Thieves. Right now, 100 Thieves, as you guys can well see, are 0-3. If they lose this series, they are guaranteed to be out of there. There's no chance of coming back. But if they can beat Ec1s in this series, they'll be 1-3, still with a chance to make it happen. If they go 2-3, they would then hold the head-to-head tiebreaker, at which point they'd have a very good chance to get through, because it does not look like Free Fall Geniuses. So many implications today. Very much intrigued to your perspective on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us on YouTube gods, this is a good video. I'd also like you to see it as well, and help grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.